If you're marketing to younger people, specifically Gen Z, then you'll want to watch this video all the way to the end. Gen Zers are described as those people born between 1995 and 2010, roughly. They are considered the first digital natives because they've always been exposed to the internet, to tablets, to technology, to mobile phones, to social networking. So their buying habits, their consumption habits are different. McKinsey and others have been studying this, and there's some generalizations we can make. One is they value individual expression, or at least they say they do. And therefore, you won't see them buying labels like I'm wearing this Eddie Bauer label. No, they want to buy a shirt without anything on it because they don't want to be advertising someone else and be considered part of that. They mobilize themselves for multiple causes, social causes. They believe in dialogue and conversation to solve conflict and the problems of the world. And they make decisions in a pretty researched kind of way because they're so used to using their tablet or their phone to do the research to find out what products they want to purchase. So, some specific things. They view companies and brands in a different way than maybe you or I do. First of all, the whole idea of consumption is changed. We tend to think of either products or services. Their view is everything is pretty much a service if it wants to be. I'll give you a couple examples. We think of buying a ticket to the movies. They think of streaming or car rides or bike rides or electric scooters or subscriptions, video games. Those kinds of things are a service that they purchase into and then withdraw from. They don't keep it. They don't buy things like you or I might. McKinsey put it this way. Here's a quote. Products become service and service connects consumers. This idea of it becomes a service is very important. So if you look at City Bike to get around New York City or electric scooters to get around any city in this country, that's the idea of you can use this as a service rather than a product. Why sell an electric scooter one time when you can sell it 1,000 times? They even are delaying buying their first homes because they prefer renting. So they don't want that product in the end. They don't want to hold it like prior generations might. In addition, they want support and community. Companies that make sporting goods, for example, are offering classes. They're doing coaches. They have apps that go along with their product, and they create communities to share experiences in. So I'm a longtime member of REI, and now I'm getting all these invitations from REI to join groups of people that share my interest, to take classes and everything from kayaking to mountain climbing. That's an idea. They're not just selling mountain boots and parkas anymore. Gen Zers also have a strong sense of individual identity or expression, or at least they think they do. Okay. They don't want to be perceived as trying to fit in like we might have when we wanted to. So that's one reason why they don't wear labels. They don't want to be seen as trying to fit in. The exception to this is when the label implies some kind of social good. So if you look at Patagonia, that's a great example. It's been around for a long time. The company prides itself on its intent is social good. Tom's is an interesting one. If you buy a pair of shoes from Tom's, they will donate a pair to a poor child who needs them somewhere in the world. So you can see that Tom's is playing on this idea that there's a social good in buying a pair of shoes. The other side of that is getting rid of the negative. So if you look at some companies like Kemlon has become True Green, which sounds very nice. They're getting rid of things like Eskimo pies and Aunt Jemima pancakes. So everyone is trying to go be more politically correct and for a good cause. That's because social media is having a huge effect. And these people, as I said, are tied into social media. 60% of Gen Z in the US use Instagram to discover new brands, products, and services. 60%. 48% of Americans aged 18 to 34 have purchased through social media. So while they say they're more independent minded, they're actually not. They are going through social media to make their buying decisions. Companies and celebrities have less influence on their buying decisions than previous generations, but influencers lead them like the Pied Piper. So if you could get an influencer to tie into your product in some way, and you have connected it to some social good, and you're promoting it on social media, then you're probably on the right track. So, what things should we think about as entrepreneurs marketing things? One is look for ways to sell to communities of people and not necessarily individuals. What are the groups of people doing? Try to turn your product into a service. In other words, can you take that thing for the bicycle and make it a service that someone can rent or borrow or use? Carefully connect your product to a good cause, but be very careful. The politics of this thing can get very tricky. So something like Tom's, no one can criticize giving a pair of shoes to a poor child. But if you get real political, like say Disney has or Apple has, you can be in some tough spots because that changes over time. Use social media instead of traditional marketing approaches. Social media is the way to go. And we do a whole series on using social media for marketing and for sales. So if you do these things, as a Gen Z might say, you need to glow up and be dank, whatever that means. Good luck selling.